There's an old saying among NBA coaches and executives: you can't teach size. For several decades, size alone was enough for an NBA center to not only have a spot in the team's rotation, but also be one of the main guys on the squad. A dominant big man was a key part of the blueprint for building a championship team. The NBA has had its fair share of great centers throughout history who dominated the game of basketball. But as the NBA game evolved, so did the centers. Sheer size wasn't enough, so they needed to work on their footwork, low post moves, and rim protection. With the three-point shot getting more and more popular among NBA team strategies, the traditional center seemed to lose relevance up to the point where a new era of big man showed up on the scene, led by none other than Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is the ultimate NBA center. The Serbian big man is a mix of skill, size, and power of a center, passing and dribbling ability of a guard, and an ultimately high basketball IQ at such a high level we rarely see in basketball. He's not something that we've seen before. We've gotten some teasers like Arvydas Sabonis, but never a player with the complete package. Rarely do we see a center capable of getting a defensive rebound, taking the ball to the other end, posting up, and kicking the ball out for open three-pointers all in one possession. But that's what we see from Nikola Jokic every night, it seems like. So, let's take a look at how the Joker revolutionizes the role of the big man in the modern game of basketball. Let's start with the most underrated part of Jokic's game, which most likely you didn't even think of: his durability. While the Joker combines the unique skill set of all court skills with his basketball IQ, his durability is also a key part of his game. Over the years, the Joker's displayed a knack for staying healthy and having a very low number of games missed. During his 2 MVP seasons, Nikola Jokic missed a total of 8 regular season games out of the possible 164. Jokic, despite playing a lot of minutes, has managed to avoid injuries, and it's no secret that his presence on the court is what keeps the Nuggets afloat night in and night out. Another feature of Nikola's game is his most popular one: his passing ability. His high basketball IQ combined with his 6'11" frame allow him to see the court better and read the defensive scheme. Some of his most impressive highlight plays include assists from behind-the-back passes, no-look passes, or full quarters that find the target man right where they were planned to. Despite all of those highlights, his passing is way more than just flashy passing. Jokic is often the primary playmaker and facilitator in Denver's offense, as his ability to find teammates for open shots is a key part of getting the Nuggets going. He's also very reliable in late-game situations, something that Mike Malone surely enjoys having as an option. The Joker's shooting ability isn't otherworldly like his passing, but it is still an area he excels at. Jokic is an efficient shooter from behind the three-point line, which helps stretch the Denver Nuggets offense and spread out the opposing defense, making it easier yet again for his teammates to do their thing. He's also a solid mid-range shooter as well, and a great post player, capable of finishing around the rim with both hands, rarely relying on his size for it, yet his soft touch and patience. Jokic is basically an offensive threat from all areas, which makes him one of the most versatile players in the league. His offensive abilities have made him a constant and go-to guy in crunch time situations for the Nuggets. And what use do you have from a big man if he doesn't crash the boards? So Jokic has got you covered in that area as well. The Joker is one of the best rebounders in the game with an average of 11.8 per game, which ranks him second, only behind Sacramento Kings' Domantas Sabonis. Just like his passing, Jokic's rebounding ability is more related to his high IQ on the court and less on his size and jumping ability, or lack thereof. The Joker knows when and where to go to get the board, and he's one of the best in the league at doing so. Jokic is less active on the offensive boards, averaging 2.4 per game. While he has the second highest rebounds per game average in the league, he doesn't even crack the top 20 in the league in offensive rebounds per game. However, that's not his primary concern in the Nuggets offense, as he's much more important as a scorer and passer. On the defensive end, he's much less reliable, so he somewhat compensates his below-average defense by crashing the boards and grabbing as many rebounds as possible, not allowing the opposing team to get easy second-chance points. Overall, Jokic is one of the best offensive players in the league. As the main guy in the offense, the Denver Nuggets offense schemes are based on his strengths, so they make sure that the Joker is surrounded by players who are always running and cutting towards the hoop, but also can knock it down from deep when the ball's being kicked out to them. The Nuggets offense is based on a lot of pick and rolls, which again allows Jokic to use his court vision and basketball IQ to find the open man. His ability to make quick and accurate decisions makes him one of the toughest players to game plan against, let alone execute that game plan. So how do Nikola Jokic and his skill set influence the way that teams approach the modern-day big man? Jokic's impact on the modern game of basketball cannot be overlooked. His unique and revolutionary skill set has led to declare him one of, if not the best passing big man in NBA history. That's no small accomplishment. And with his success as a modern NBA center, Jokic has possibly started a new era of versatile big men who can dominate the game of basketball in multiple ways. His style of play is already influencing a lot of teams' game plans and offensive strategies. More and more teams are looking into centers who have the ability to stretch the floor, shoot from beyond the arc, and create opportunities for themselves, but also their teammates as well. The term point center existed even before Nikola Jokic, but it's without a doubt that he's the one that's the complete definition of it. Some current NBA players who would be considered point centers are Miami Heat's Bam Adebayo and Sacramento's Domantas Sabonis. The concept of being a point center offers many benefits, such as having your big man do the guard's work, like passing, but also the traditional big man jobs such as rebounding and rim protection. Now, this is not a concept that's going to work for every team, that's for sure, but it is a modern way of approaching the center's role on the team, and Nikola Jokic is definitely one of the main reasons why it's grown to be so popular nowadays. Jokic's abilities are often compared to those of Bill Walton or Arvydas Sabonis, two big men that during their best years were known for their passing and playmaking abilities that set them apart from other big men around the league at the time. Jokic's abilities are taken to a whole other level, which is the main reason why point centers are so popular today. However, this concept may not work for everyone despite them trying. Many big men still lack the necessary skills to excel in a point center role. Even if they do possess the skills needed to play the role, the concept still requires a lot of adjustment and experimenting before it can be implemented to its full potential. Some teams can't afford to experiment during the season or simply lack the patience to do so. However, this concept of playing with a point center on your squad is far tougher than it might look, because you can easily be fooled by watching Jokic and the Nuggets play. Simply put, Jokic is an extraordinary all-time talented big man who makes things look way easier than they actually are. If big men 30 years ago were typically tall, heavy, and focused on rebounding, today's big men are often smaller and more agile and can play a variety of roles while being specialized in a few of them, if any. The traditional center was often limited to post-ups and putback points, but today the modern center scores from basically everywhere. It's no surprise anymore if a big man shoots and hits three-pointers, but the opposite. A modern big man that doesn't shoot is much less utilized in the offense than the capable shooter. When you look at big men from the previous decades, usually their weak link would be their passing and dribbling abilities. Today, that's not the case anymore, as more and more big men have become capable ball handlers, and some of them have even developed their passing game as well. In modern positionless basketball, it's very important that your players are able to defend multiple positions. While this has very little to do with Nikola Jokic's defensive capabilities, as he's hardly even an average defender, the center nowadays is usually someone who can switch on the pick and roll and guard the opposing team's guards and forwards. The defensive style of today's center is not just focused on protecting the rim, but the perimeter as well. Although a lot has changed, the center has still remained a dominant force on the court, just in different aspects. It remains to see whether this is for better or for worse, but it is without a doubt that Nikola Jokic is already one of the best to ever do it from that spot. Nikola evolved from a second-round draft pick into a two-time MVP award winner. But, more importantly than that, a man that revolutionizes the game of basketball as we know it. His skill set is something that not many players possess or have possessed throughout the history of basketball, which is by itself enough to put Jokic on the lists of greatest players to ever do it on a basketball court. As we watch him outperform himself on a nightly basis, it can easily be forgotten how good this guy is. Let's not take his greatness for granted and appreciate the Joker as much as we can.